Hey, how's it going? Brad Riley here, and welcome to this video. And in this one today, I'm gonna show you exactly how you can land 5 to 10 SMMA clients every single month. So make sure you watch until the end. Now, just before we jump into the good stuff, if you are new around here, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss another upload. And if you haven't already, make sure you get yourself on the wait list for my brand new book, SMMA Accelerator, the Social Media Marketing Blueprint. The book is coming out 1st of July 2020, jam-packed on how to start and scale an agency. So if you're not already, get on the wait list. And if you're watching this after July 1st, make sure to grab yourself a copy. The link is in the description. Without further ado, let's jump into it. So obviously, as we know, 5 to 10 clients in a month is no small feat. Like, that's a decent amount of clients. And actually, in a lot of cases, that is definitely enough for somebody to live full time and at least quit their job. If not, at least be at 6 figures per year in income if they were to land, 5 to 10 clients. But this is something that I have achieved myself, and it's also something that I've helped dozens of my students achieve at this point. So I'm excited to run through a few steps today, so hopefully you can achieve the same thing. Now, as you know, if you watch my channel, the first tip that I have for you here, just to touch on it real quick, is that if you really want to do this, my biggest recommendation is you look into warmer and higher intent methods of outreach. Now, by all means, if you want to cold call and all that stuff and cold email, that stuff does work. But if you're looking to close 5 to 10 in a single month, you're gonna want a shorter sales cycle, and ideally, you're gonna wanna be able to reach out to a large amount of people and have the highest conversion rates on those people. Meaning, for however many people that you reach out to, you want a high percentage of those to actually convert into meetings and customers. And there is no better way than high intent outreach methods. Now, my favorite personally, as you probably know, is Upwork and other freelance websites such as People Per Hour. Saying that, there are a bunch of other ways to get clients who are looking for help with social media, one of which could be something such as recruitment websites. There's also methods that you can do with LinkedIn as well, where you can find people who are actively looking for help with social media marketing services. So my first tip for you, if you want to close a decent amount of clients every month, first tip is to focus on those higher intent leads. Now, tip number 2 that I have for you, this is the juicy bit. This is the real actionable advice for you right now. Basing off the fact, if you go for warm outreach, I want to give you some real statistics that can actually, it's almost like reverse engineered way for you to go out and get this amount of clients every month. So this is based off of, by the way, years of experience working with these warm outreach methods, not just myself, but also with thousands of students at this point. And I'm going to break down for you what the statistics and numbers and figures should look like in terms of outreach, meetings, and then obviously the amount that you close. And I want to break down for you how many outreach you should be doing on these warm outreach platforms if you want to close 5 to 10 clients every single month. So for the most part, on the lower end, if you do outreach, you should expect at least a 10% response. Meaning, if you send 10 outreach messages, you should expect at least one of those to respond to you. Now, that doesn't always necessarily mean a meeting. That just means somebody actually responds to you, showing some level of interest. So based off of that, we want to be looking for at least a 10% response rate. It can go higher, 20, 25%, but I want to play this conservative to give you realistic numbers, okay? So if we know that we're aiming for a 10% response rate, what we also should look at after that we've got the responses, the next step is setting up the meeting. So from my experience, a really good figure to look at is for every response that you get, 1 in 3, so about 30 to 33% should convert from a response actually into a meeting, okay? After that, from the meeting, the next step ideally is to get them to actually close. And again, a very a decent statistic on this is, again, 1 in 3, so 33% of meetings you should close. So the statistics should look like this if we want to close 1 client with these warmer outreach methods. So we know 1 close is on average about 3 meetings to get that, and then out of those 3 meetings, we're gonna need about 9 responses, okay? And if we get a 10% response rate, we know that we need to do about 90 outreach, 90 to 100 outreach, close 1 client with these warm outreach methods. Again, the key on here is warm. These are statistics based off of warm outreach that I've tried and tested myself. I don't know the stats for things like cold calling. It's probably a lot higher, okay? So let's look at the maths here. If we know we need to do 90 outreach on average to close 1 client, well, think about it. If we know that we want to close 5 clients in a single month, we know following those same numbers, we need to hit about 450 outreach in a month. Run the numbers, how much is that a day? That's about 15 outreach every day. All of a sudden, that seems achievable, right? Now, if we want to close 10 clients every month, 90 outreach to 1, again, just times by 10. 900 outreach, on average, will be about 10 clients closed every single month. And again, on average, that's about 30 outreach every single day, consistently throughout the month for you to close that many clients. Obscene, right? All of a sudden, 5 to 10 clients a month, which once seems incredibly difficult. Now, if you break it down into daily tasks, well, all of a sudden, you just need to hit 15 to 30 outreach every single day on warm outreach methods in order to close that amount of deals. So tip number number 3 for you after that is obviously those numbers are based off the fact that you actually have a bunch of things in place already. So the first thing off the back of that really is you need to make sure you have an optimized profile. You know, think about it. I'm telling you right now, you should be getting a 10% response rate. Now you should be tracking all of your numbers, and if you're not getting at least a 10% response rate, you know for a fact, I mean, let's say it's Upwork, right? If you're not getting at least a 10% response rate, the chances are there's an issue on the front end. You know, your outreach message or your profile isn't optimized enough, okay? So obviously these figures are based off the fact all of that is in place already. So, you know, just a tip on this is make sure you have an optimized profile to make sure that your response rate is at least 10%. Also, if you're not actually getting, you know, let's say you have a bunch of responses, but at least 1 in 3 of those isn't turning into an actual meeting, you know, from a response to a meeting. If 1 in 3 isn't, again, you may need to look at that area and be like, okay, how can I optimize? Maybe I'm not pushing quick enough for a call. Maybe I'm not professional enough. Maybe I'm reaching out to the wrong type of leads, you know? So you can look at that area. Maybe everything's great and you're on the sales call, and then you realize when you're in that meeting, you can't close 1 in 3. It's like 1 in 10. Well, that's probably an issue on the sales process. Maybe you're not getting enough commitments on the sales call. Maybe you're not persuasive enough, you know? There's a bunch of factors that go into that. Maybe you're not following an optimized enough script. But the key here is these figures are possible once you have all of these areas optimized, and the best thing you can do to understand those numbers is to simply track them. Now, if you're a student in my Entrepreneur Accelerator Mastermind or my Academy program, you know I have something called the conversion calendar, which is this real simple calendar where you input your statistics every single day with the amount of outreach you do, the responses you get, the meetings you have, and the closes you get. And obviously it works out all of those figures for you. But if you're not in any of my paid programs, it's fine. Just create yourself a real simple Excel document and track it. And if the numbers don't add up to what I've said to you today, just remind you 10% response, 1 in 3 to a meeting, 1 in 3 meetings to a close, then you need to look at that specific area where those numbers aren't aligned with that, and then make changes and adjustments to get them to that level. And look, these figures that I've told you today are accurate and they're kind of lowballing it. But saying that, if you know for you, perhaps your statistics are you've got a 10% response rate, but 1 in 5 responses is a meeting and 1 in 2 is a close, again, just adjust the numbers and reverse backwards to daily outreach figures that you need to hit to achieve 5 to 10 clients every single month. It's really that simple. Now, the fourth and final tip that I have for you in this video, if you want to close 5 to 10 clients every single month, is that you really just need to go all in, you know? And I don't necessarily just mean all in on your agency. I'm talking about you need to go all in on doing outreach to businesses. Hitting 900 outreach a month, it sounds like a lot. Like I said, when you break that down to 30 a day, that isn't that much time. You know, if you get fast with the outreach, you could probably do that in a couple of hours. But when you're a beginner, it may take you a little bit longer. So you have to be willing to just go all in. You need to remove all other distractions. You know, if you find yourself watching Netflix or playing on the Xbox or going out drinking every weekend, and you're complaining why you can't land your first or second client, how on earth do you think you're gonna land 5 to 10 in a month unless you remove all of those distractions and like laser focus just to go all in on doing outreach to businesses? And if you do that, you're going to have the highest amount of chance of that success. And think about it, if you reverse engineer those stats and it says you need to do 30 a day, but you end up doing 60 a day because you go all in, damn it, like you're gonna hit 5 to 10 clients easily, and you may end up having double of that. And it's very likely that you can scale, like some of my students have, from 0 to 6 figures in like 1 to 3 months, which is incredible. And that's a life-changing amount of money for most people. And that is possible, but if you're really desperate enough and you're like obsessed with making this work and quitting your job, like stop making excuses and playing the Xbox and stop doing this stuff. Like, it doesn't have to be forever, but for 90 days, remove all of those distractions and just go all in. And what I want you to do from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, outside of other commitments that you have, is work on your agency, and 90% of that time and effort needs to be focused on outreach. Or if it's not on outreach, it's spent on optimizing the areas that we've discussed today, making sure your numbers and your conversion rates are increased for you to be able to hit those numbers. Okay, so there we have it. I hope you found a bunch of value in this video today. If you did, please let me know by dropping a like on this video. It really, really means a lot. It shows that you support it and you'd like more content like this. And finally, if you're interested in having me personally mentor you every single day, holding your hand and helping you grow your business, I want to invite you to check out the link in the description to my Entrepreneur Accelerator Mastermind. Crazy thing about it, it's only $29 per month, which is basically the same price as like a cheap meal out, but you get full access to me. We have weekly live calls. We have an incredible community with hundreds of entrepreneurs. We have a members area with hundreds of hours of video content and audio content and PDF content and scripts and templates. Absolutely crazy. So I'd love to invite you to check that out. Only $29 per month. The link is in the description. Thanks again so much for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.